No one fights alone. Lane 5 is empty. It's kept for me. That's my usual lane, but I'm not at the pool. I am cheering from above as those below me race for me. The grief and the tears they have shed, released during these 100 yards of my favorite stroke. I see the gorgeous sunset and feel the cool breeze on my skin. I hear the beep and splashing, but then I only hear silence. Why aren't the spectators cheering? Why aren't the coaches whistling? Why is everyone silent? This moment brings me back to September 9th, 2016. That day, my mom and I went to the orthopedist because I had pain in my knee. I was convinced that Dr. McGowan would just examine me and give me a brace for the injury. This was not the case. After an MRI and biopsy, I was informed that ICC had cancer. My jaw dropped, stomach lurched, and I felt as if I had just had the wind knocked out of me. I sat like a statue as the next years of my life flies. Would I be here for future holidays, birthdays, and graduation? And the question that kept me up at night was, will I ever swim again? Although these answers were all unknown, I promised to fight hard. It seems like everything has a color. Breast cancer has pink, lymphoma has green, but pediatric cancer, it's yellow. From the day I got diagnosed with osteosarcoma, the color yellow took on a new meaning. My swim team wore yellow bracelets. My mum wore yellow eyeshadow. My sister had yellow nail polish. And my dad was always wearing a yellow shirt. Yellow was no longer the color of the sun in my coloring book. It symbolized that kept me going. Since I couldn't climb up the stairs of my house, my bedroom was moved to the first floor. My swim team surprised me by decorating my new room with motivational quotes and inside jokes. Their endless support made the challenging times bearable. A few weeks later, a local news crew shared my story. They interviewed my swim coach and me for the evening news. Soon enough, I began chemotherapy, and my hair started to fall out. Halfway through my chemotherapy, the doctor noticed that the chemo had not worked and that I had new tumors in my lungs, along with my original spot in my. This was devastating news, and I did not know how the situation could get any worse. My only option was to get accepted into an immunotherapy trial at Texas Children's Hospital in Houston. I flew to Houston and sat in a sterile wait just like I had 6 months ago, before I received the life-altering news that I had cancer. My heart raced, and I started to break into a sweat. Would this treatment work and cure me? Sadly, even though I was admitted into this trial, my cancer did not respond, so I was officially out of options. In the next months, I was fortunate enough to be chosen to be a model in the Pediatric Cancer Foundation Fashion Fund's The Cure event. I even met Olympic swimmer Caleb Dressel. This experience made me feel like the old CC I was 8 months. The exciting feeling of getting dressed up with full makeup made me feel like a pampered princess. And for those who are wondering, Yes, wigs are very itchy. Walking down the runway feeling like a superstar was one of the best moments I had had in June. Just 9 months after my diagnosis, breathing became harder, and the ambulance became way too familiar. The constant sirens that rang in my ears reminded me of what my life had become. The smell of the hospital over the white walls closed in. The constant visitors crowded around my hospital bed, making me wonder, am I going to die? My tumors had grown larger and laid on my trachea, making breathing difficult and painful. My nurses were comforting. Their voices made me feel at home, but could not distract me from the fact that I was dying. I continued to fight for 3 more long months. I was able to celebrate my 14th birthday with my family and friends when they threw me a surprise party. I was so tired, I couldn't even open my gift. Heading into my last surgery, where I got intubated so that I could breathe easier, I managed to gather enough of my breath and energy to whisper to my mum, "I've got this, Mommy." And those were my final. From the day I was diagnosed to the day of my funeral, the kindness and support my community gave me was a blessing. Their acts of kindness were too many to count. My friends and family constantly wore yellow to cheer me on. Cancer Foundation picked me to be a model in their fashion show fundraiser. My teammates decorated my bedroom so that I would remain positive. The nurses stayed past their shift to make sure that I was all right. The EMTs made me laugh and smile while I was en route to the ER way too many times. Never, ever gave up. And finally, one simple but powerful act of kindness was when my devoted swim coach dedicated a lane to me during my favorite race, the 100-yard breaststroke. Then it hit me. Everyone was silent because they are honoring me. Lane 5 is empty. It's kept for me. I finished this race with a personal best. 14 years, 8 days, 15 hours, and 2 minutes. As I climb out of the pool, I am no longer suffering. I am in the height of my glory. Because of their kindness, I never fought alone.